To be clear, I think the games should be postponed. I think it's the best option. It's the least worst option available to us now. I think if we're trying to create anything like a normal Olympic Games without potential boycotts, without the media coverage being unanimously about COVID-19, a postponement has to be the only decision. I think the IOC are presented with an amazing opportunity to try and bring the world together when we see the other side of this pandemic. We've seen them do it before when they brought out North and South Korea under one united Korean flag, and that's the power of sport and that's the power of the Olympic Games. So they've got an amazing opportunity here to postpone the Games and then bring the world together after we see the back of this virus. As far as I'm aware, none of the athletes have contracted the virus that I've spoken to. But the whole point of athlete health is really important. I think it's quite often misunderstood that athletes, especially Olympic athletes, are some kind of superheroes that are immune to everything. We're not, and we can suffer from illnesses and injuries just as much as anyone else. And to put that into perspective, around about 700 of the 10,000 athletes which attended the London 2012 Games were diagnosed as asthmatic. And here in the UK, that would put you at a very high risk category if you were to catch COVID-19. There's also the other issue that the most commonly reported illnesses at Olympic Games tend to be respiratory issues, which is a double-edged sword. So you could have some athletes missing out on the Games due to a false positive because they have a cough and have to self-isolate. And then there's also the potential of having all these athletes from all over the world coming together in one place. It's basically just a bit of a recipe for the virus spreading even further if someone manages to get into the village who may be a carrier. It's incredibly tough, but I think it's one of these instances where the health of the nation, health of society comes before sport, and I don't think any athlete is willing to put their health on the line for the Olympic Games. For most of them anyway, the health comes before anything else. But we're seeing a growing movement of organisations and bodies calling for postponement from USA Swimming, track and field, Dutch cycling, Brazil, Norway, Slovenia. And I think that list is just going to grow and grow, which kind of brings us onto the point that postponing, having a normal Games, as the IOC would call it, isn't actually within their full control. If everyone remembers 2016 Olympic Games, we had a lot of concerns about Zika virus, which now obviously pales in comparison to what we're seeing now. A lot of athletes boycotted, specifically in golf. You had the likes of Rory McIlroy not attending. So even if the IOC do push on, there is a chance that we could see large-scale boycotts, which would damage the Olympic movement for a long time. Well, history points towards the fact that the Olympics doesn't always start no matter what. We've obviously had breaks due to wartime and things like that in the past. And there's a lot of world leaders who are actually starting to classify the fight against COVID-19 as a war. So to postpone the Olympic Games due to a pandemic doesn't actually seem that unprecedented. And it seems crazy to say that now, as I wouldn't have said it a few months ago. But as to the motivations as to why they're continuing, I think I'm not quite sure, and they'd have to answer for themselves. It could be relating to money. It could be that they're trying to protect the Olympic movement in the way that they see fit. But ultimately, they need to remember that they're potentially putting a lot of athletes and support staff and fans at risk by pursuing with the Games at this time.
Good morning. We all are healthy and looking forward to the meeting.